Hey everyone. The Lord gave me an encouragement to share with you guys the other day. He brought up something to me, and He asked me to share it on here with you, so I'm happy to do that. Um, he was bringing up to me Christians who are trapped in a mindset of an unhealthy fear of judgment, God's judgment. There are Christians who are struggling with sin, who have a sincere heart of wanting to overcome and learn from the Lord, and they really are striving with honesty. And still they feel that because they're in the middle of struggling with sins, trying to overcome, and find themselves failing, that around every corner they walk, they're going to be met with judgment. Feel like God's going to judge them. Like they're suddenly going to be wiped off the face of the earth. And before you know it, everything is taken from them and they're standing before the God's judgment throne, and they feel like they're going to be condemned. They're in a constant state of fear of condemnation, even though there's some. The Lord was reminding me of something that was so encouraging and so merciful. And it's this, simply that the Lord knows the hearts of everyone. He knows your heart. And if you really are sincerely wanting to overcome and stop every single one of your sins, and you want to learn from His voice and from His Spirit, you want to receive grace from Him, and you are willing to obey when He convicts you every single time, and you're willing to follow His instructions, and you just don't understand, or you're having difficulty, you don't need to be afraid of death. You don't need to be afraid of God's judgment. You don't need to be afraid of condemnation, because the Lord is so compassionate. He understands, and He is so willing to teach those who are willing to learn. If your attitude is one where you really just want to learn from Him, you want the truth, He's game. He's ready every time. He doesn't turn away anyone who's coming to Him. It's Christians who don't want to learn and overcome and hear from His voice and follow His Spirit and obey His direction and His instructions and His commandments, and don't want to cease from every one of their sins and be pure. It's those Christians who have something to worry about. But there are Christians who believe that even though they are struggling, who still have the right attitude and truly love the Lord and want to learn, they still feel like God's ready to judge them. I want to let you know, the Lord understands. You are not going to die before your time. Jesus has the keys of death and hell. He decides when every single person on this planet dies. It's all in His hands. Your life is literally in the palm of His hand. And He decides when you die. Anyone on this whole earth dies. Every single time it's because Jesus gave the thumbs up. He said, okay, it's that person's time to go. You will not die if Jesus does not want you to die. Your life is in the hand of a very, very understanding and compassionate and just God. You're not going to be suddenly taken unawares and then thrown before the judgment seat when you are seriously, sincerely striving to be pure. If you want to understand, if you want to lay your life down for Jesus and follow Him with everything you have, He is not going to take your life from you when He knows that you are being worked on and you are laboring to meet His expectation, His requirements. He's not going to take your life from you. He's not going to cut it short. You won't die before your time. He wants to work with you. Everyone who wants to work with Him, Jesus wants to work with. He really understands. He really, really does, guys. You don't need to be afraid of death. Your life is not in the hand of Satan. He doesn't have power over death. Jesus does. The only thing you need is to have an attitude where you want to learn and you see being completely pure, holy, righteous, and in good standing with God, and right standing with God, If you can see that as a foreseeable, realistic goal, and you really do want that, and you thirst for that, but you don't know how to get there, you have nothing to worry about. Jesus is going to work with you. He's going to work with you until you get it. He's going to make sure that you get it and that you overcome. He has provisions for you that never deplete. He has grace upon grace upon grace for you. He is not unjust or unfair to those who are willing to hear him and learn from him, and to seriously obey his convictions and his commands. He's not going to cut short someone's efforts like that. It's those who don't want him who should be fearful of judgment, because those who don't believe in him they stand condemned already. They're in condemnation already. Those who really want to be free from sin are not so. You don't need to be afraid. You need to go ask him for his grace. Ask him to speak to you and tell you what you need to do, and he will give you instruction. He'll give you commandments, and when you obey that, you're going to see life bloom in you. The seed is going to take root, and it's going to transform you, and you will overcome. Don't be afraid. Your life's in good hands. May the grace of the Lord be with you.